to First Take. D.C. is the place to be Friday night as the East region kicks off. First, Duke, St. John's, 1 seed, 5 seed. John Shire looking to make his second straight Elite Eight appearance, while Rick Pitino will be trying to go to his first with St. John's. The age gap between the opposing coaches largest in Sweet 16 since 1975. All right, second game. UConn takes on Michigan State. This is Tom Izzo's 17th Sweet 16 appearance, which is tied with Coach Cal and Dean Smith for most all time since the round was created. Dan Hurley in the Sweet 16 for the third time in his 8 years at UConn. The previous 2 times he won the national title. Coach Seth Greenberg back here with us. Who do you have more faith in as you look at these 2 games? Would it be St. John's pulling off the upset over number 1 seed Duke, or is it UConn beating up on Michigan State?
I'm going to go with St. John's. Then styles make fights. And when you think about this St. John's team and then Duke playing without potentially Caleb Foster, who has not played in the NCAA tournament, if they can impose their style of play on the game, I think St. John's wins this game. If they can turn Duke over, St. John's wins this game. If they can make the game ugly and physical, St. John's wins this game. If they can make Cam Boozer defend, St. John's wins this game. So to me, it's more about styles make fights and the style of play. If St. John's can turn this Duke team over and make it physical, make it a rock fight, make it a half-court game, make it a low-scoring game, I think St. John's wins this game. So I'm going to go with St. John's slightly over UConn.
Well, you know what? Listen, what Coach is not saying
no, but
is that
compared to UConn, over Duke, but compared to UConn.
Right. But the reason why I would say, Coach, I get where you're coming from, and I agree with you. But what you're not saying is that, listen, Duke, St. John's, you're talking about a 1 seed versus a 5th seed. In UConn and Michigan State is a 2 versus 3. And you know, listen, you're looking at UConn with Dan Hurley, and UConn, they've won 6 national championships since 1999. Nobody's pulled that off. Not to mention back-to-back championships of 23 and 24 under Dan Hurley in his 8th year. You're looking at Michigan State. This is the 28th consecutive NCAA tournament for Tom Izzo. This man has been here before. We know what Fears brings to the table and others, but we understand their coaching styles. And you expect a dogfight. So, again, even though you're looking very much forward to the matchup, the intrigue that comes with it isn't the same as St. John's and Duke. And here's what the interesting part is. You're looking at St. John's having won 30 games this year. You're looking at the pressure that Rick Pitino can apply. You know how dogged they are and how rough and rugged they can be. And you're wondering about the officiating and what role they're going to play in terms of controlling this game. Because if they're going to let them play, who knows how that's going to affect Duke? Who knows how that's going to affect St. John's? To be seen. Then when you look at Ojapor and you look at Bryce Hopkins and these boys, you know what they can do. These are seniors. They've been around for a while. So you got cats that have been playing college basketball for a few years, whereas Duke is the younger bunch that's coming at it with you. And not only that, their guard, they've got some issues at the guard spot because they've got injuries. And now you've got Caden Boozer, who's going to be a pivotal piece in all of this. Because Rick Pitino, you know he's going to test him. He's going to pressure him. He's going to put him in zone situations. He's going to put him in crowds to see how he's going to be able to play and adjust playing in a crowd. We're going to see Cam Boozer. What are you going to do when you're going up against those rough and rugged boys if the officials don't let them get in foul trouble or they don't find themselves in foul trouble? All of these intriguing elements come with it as we're watching this game, as we get set to watch this game unfold. And that's what I think, why I think it's the more intriguing matchup. I expect a dogfight with UConn and Michigan because the talent is just there and the coaching is just there on both sides. We know the coaching is there for St. John's. We don't know if the players are going to rise to the occasion against Duke. We're going to find out. And we don't know how the youth on Duke is going to respond to the pressure that we know is imminent because it's Rick Pitino's team we're talking about they're going up against. We know what he does when he goes against young guards. And you got to make sure you're as composed as hell and you don't get rattled. Otherwise, a lot can change for the bad against Duke. That's what makes it more intriguing, and that's why I think this matchup between Duke and St. John's is the game of the night to watch.
So, Coach, let's zero in here a little bit more on UConn and Michigan State. So, obviously, Michigan State is the 3 seed, UConn's the 2 seed. If the Spartans win, it's an upset. Tom Izzo's group hasn't been to the Final Four since 2019. Remember, we talked about it a little bit ago. They're the last team from the Big Ten to win a national title. What does he need to do from a coaching perspective tonight to be able to finally break through and get back to the Elite Eight?
I think the coaching has been done so in preparation. Both of these coaches, fun stories, these guys have been talking all week. They're very close friends. Tom, in a lot of ways, is a mentor or a role model for Dan. But this is not going to be a coach's game. Both of these guys are going to have great game plans. Both of these guys know what they're going to give and what they're going to take away. This is a player's game. This game's going to come down to something really simple. Which team takes care of the basketball? Silas Denver, you got to take care of the basketball. Jeremy Fears, you got to take care of the basketball. Matchup to watch. Jackson Kohler, Alex Caravan. Both of them are stretch fours. Caravan moves more in the action. So I think this game's not going to come down to more than who takes care of the ball and who makes shots. Because both of these teams at times have struggled making shots. Alex Caravan's been good, but Solo Ball's got to make shots. Jaden Ross has got to make shots. And on the other side, for Michigan State, they've had different guys step up different games. Tom Izzo's found the right guy at the right time. So taking care of the basketball and someone stepping up and making shots. The coaches are going to be on the peripheral of this game. They're prepared. Both teams have a game plan. It's going to come down to dudes making plays and making shots because the hay's in the barn now. I mean, they just got to go out and hoop. It's going to be an incredible game. Two great coaches of tremendous respect that are not afraid to coach their teams. And I want to say one thing, Steve. Look at all these older coaches. We talk about you can't coach players hard. You can't demand of them. You can't expect things of them and set a standard.
Yeah.
Like these old dudes, they got their teams hooping.
I feel you on that, and they both have balanced attacks. Let's make sure to remember that they both have balanced attacks. Fears is he's the nation's assist leader, so we got to remember that with him. Caravan just dropped 27 for UConn against UCLA. We know what these teams can do. Both of them. There's not going to be. This is the thing, and that's why it's so intriguing. It's not. Nobody's going to be surprised. It's going to come down to who shows up and who doesn't. Because Izzo, obviously, and Hurley are going to have their team prepared. But that doesn't mean you're going to make shots. And that's really what this comes down to. You got to go out there and play. I think coaching will have more of an impact with Duke versus St. John's than it will against UConn and Michigan State. Because Hurley and Izzo are going to cancel one another out. And it's just going to come down to who plays better. Whereas with St. John's and Duke, I think coaching is going to have more of an impact because schematically, what Rick Pitino is going to try to throw at Duke and its younger players to rattle them a little bit, we're going to find out how effective that's going to be.
A player's game.
Don't underestimate John Shire. That dude can coach ball.
Well, I'm not underestimating it. I'm saying that the point is the coaches, they're going to be fine. But the point is, schematically, those young players against Rick Pitino, is anybody going to get rattled? It ain't going to be Shire's fault. He knows what he's doing. It ain't going to be his fault. But if you're going to get rattled, we're going to see because very few coaches are capable of applying pressure, full court and half court, to rattle you the way Rick Pitino historically has been able to do. Coach knows that.
Must-see games tonight, must-see coaching matchups too, but as Coach said, it is a player's game out in the East region. All right, the mighty Huskies in the women's tournament are roaring so far. Who is the biggest threat to knocking them off? Andrea Carter stops by to tell us next. Darius Acuff Jr. and Arkansas were blown out by Arizona, but was it more of a disappointing loss than Nebraska's blunder at the end? Fresh hour, first